Gonzaga Baylor, yes or no? The yes plus 05, and you get everyone else at minus 125. What you think? Obviously, those two teams are undefeated and a cut above everyone else. So Fortenbaugh back with me. Dalen Cuff is as well. You both have clearly seen these teams play a lot. You know, the question is, do you go with the chalk here?
I do. Yeah,
Really?
I'll take the chalk. I think these two are not only clear-cut above the rest, what are the flaws versus the other teams we're looking at? Like Michigan, for example, who I love. Illinois, as you work your way down. Florida State, who at 40-1 is a nice price. There are flaws, obvious flaws. And in the pandemic, we have seen nothing but favorites running the table and smashing people. They've both had to deal with issues in the scheduling this year because of the pandemic, and they just keep churning out winners. They just keep covering the spread. How many people like San Francisco the other day on Saturday against Gonzaga, catching 17? They got blown out of the game. They weren't even in that one. So, yeah, I'll play it at plus 105.
All right, Dalen, what about you? Yes or no on these two top teams?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm saying yes as well. And Baylor's on a pause right now, so I am interested to see how they come off it right now. They're missing what would be a number of high-level games, a couple games against WVU, Texas Tech, other good teams in the Big 12. But I have a feeling they're going to come back very strong like they did earlier in the year and not miss a beat. But I am concerned to make sure both these teams actually play at full capacity and don't have any other issues before we hit, I believe, March 18th or 19th is the first day of the tournament. So I would rather take those two than the field. I can't believe I'm saying that, but they are better than everybody, and it gets harder to beat either one of those teams than it is to knock off anybody else in the field.
All right, you saw the graphic. BPI had it 51-49. I mean, I think we all can agree it's a pretty fair line. But I would take the no. I really would, and it's because you mentioned the COVID thing. We don't know what's going to happen once the tournament comes, and it's single elimination. But recent history, it's either 4 out of the last 10 or 8 of the last 20. The champion has been a 1 or 2 team in the AP poll going into the tournament. So let's call them the 1 or the 2 overall seeds. Now, obviously, this is kind of 1A, 1B, so it's even more pronounced. They're going to be tough to beat, and they could very well meet in the championship game because they're likely going to be on opposite sides of the bracket. So obviously, if they're on same sides of the bracket, that would hurt your chances if you did the yes. I'm still going to take the no because, and it's not getting every other team. They're not viable champions. I'm saying I'm getting like 15 other teams. But we've seen, look at Duke last year with 3 of the top whatever picks, and they couldn't even get to the Final Four.
Exactly.
So, am I crazy? Do you have any other
That
thoughts
was a young
on that?
team. Doug, that's a young team.
True.
Veterans matter when it comes to the tournament. That's why I like Gonzaga and Baylor. They're all old dudes that have been through it before, with the exception of Jalen Suggs. They rely on all older players. So I do feel better about that, too.
That's a good point. In terms of other teams outside of those with the beefy odds, anybody caught your eye?
Yeah, I like Illinois a lot. I mean, I know they had that home loss to Maryland early in the year. People scratch their heads at. They lost to Ohio State. That looks much more reasonable now. But I think they were plus 1,800 earlier. Ayo Dosunmu is the National Player of the Year candidate. He's the best closer in college basketball. We talk about guards, veterans, the junior. When the ball's in his hands late, he can just take over games. Kofi Coburn in the interior is an absolute beast. I also like Ohio State. I think they were plus 2,000. Versatile team. Very mentally and physically tough. Obviously playing really at elite level right now. And then Michigan. Michigan's plus 800, and they're right there. They're the third team on the cusp of Baylor and Gonzaga. They looked pretty good in the second half coming off their COVID pause yesterday. Hopefully they have no other issues going forward. And that's a team that I think you get good value on the Wolverines as well.
Yeah, all well-coached teams you just mentioned, by the way. Love Underwood, obviously Holtman. What do you got?
Michigan, 6-1. I've been betting against teams coming off these layoffs. You figure their legs aren't going to be there. Their conditioning's not going to be there. I watched Michigan yesterday completely lock down Wisconsin in the second half. Wisconsin's got big men all over the place. Grab a rebound for crying out loud. That was insane watching those dudes get worked on the glass. But that performance right there makes you stand up and take notice. They went on the road and they hammered the Badgers in the second half of that game. Held them to 20 points.
Okay, actually 10-1, by the way, so not even single digits.
Oh.
I'll take West Virginia. They really interesting. This is not the West Virginia of past years we've seen. They can shoot the ball, and yes, they lost a great player, but they've made up for it in other ways. And I think that their style and even Huggy Bear gets under the skin of some referees, and that'll cost them over the course of 6 games in the tournament. I think this different version of West Virginia, I don't think the refs will be as much of a liability in West Virginia. So I would take 40-1 on a team that can get it done. They're battle-tested in the Big 12.
There's a lot to like there. Oklahoma gave them everything this weekend. Shout out to Oklahoma finding a way to get that done in overtime.
What do you know? Lon Kruger's got another team on its way to the tournament. Shocker on that one.